and welcome back to Heroes in the Making, where we discuss how to create dynamic backstories designed to make your characters more interesting, fun, and easy to run. I'm your lore weaver, Nikki, and today I want to talk about how using backgrounds when playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition can really help you create a great backstory. My last video was so packed with information I couldn't fit this in, but it's also game specific, and I've been trying to keep the advice I'm giving universal for all TTRPGs. However, you can't ignore how important backgrounds are to D&D 5e. Now, I know 1 D&D is coming down the pike, but that's not for a while. We'll handle that when it comes. I'm not getting into too many specifics at this point, because I do have a future deep dive series in the works on the various backgrounds and ideas on how to use them for your character. For now, I'd like to go over the general use of backgrounds in 5e, with a breakdown of what they give you. Backgrounds, as defined in the player's handbook, reveal where you came from, how you became an adventurer, and your place in the world. It says choosing a background provides you with important story cues about your character's identity. It suggests you think about why your character stopped doing whatever your background describes and started adventuring, along with where did you get your money for gear, or why don't you have more money? How did you learn the skills it offers? And even, what sets you apart from ordinary people who share your background? These are all good questions a DM can use to direct players in creating a fleshed out and interesting character when requesting a backstory. Basically, backgrounds are flavor for your characters, which, bonus, gives you your starting equipment, gold, extra skills and proficiencies, new languages in some cases, and on top of all that, you get a special ability, which is usually helpful to the whole party. A good example of this is the Acolyte, which gives you something called Shelter of the Faithful. Welcome to free healing and care for your entire party at a temple, shrine, or other established presence of your faith. This is good stuff. Each background also comes with these handy-dandy rolling tables.
Our handy-dandy notebook.
Comprised of personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, which help you develop your character's personality. Fun fact, you don't actually have to roll. You can select what fits your character best. This also gives you the opportunity to choose what you think would be easier or more fun to roleplay. The PHB even suggests creating your own, because sometimes none of what's listed may fit your character concept. I of course suggest working with your DM if you're going to do this, and together you may come up with something really great. In my upcoming series, I'm looking forward to covering some of the table options I feel are more difficult to roleplay and offering ideas on how you can incorporate them into a character. Now, let's take a look at the 4 features which make up those tables, starting with personality traits. The PHB tells you to give your character 2 personality traits, which are small, simple ways to help you set your character apart from every other character, that these traits should tell you something interesting and or fun about your character, and they might describe things your character likes, past accomplishments, fears, or even their attitude. One example of a personality trait is a character who is always positive in any situation, like Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony. She's always cheerful.
This is the greatest blue garden I've ever seen!
Or maybe you deal with things using humor, so you have a joke for every occasion, especially at times when joking may not be appropriate. Since you all don't know my wonderful husband, I will give you Matt Smith's 11th Doctor as the example for this. Another great example is a character who rushes in not paying attention to the risks of the situation. Han Solo, anyone?
Never tell me the odds.
These are all specific things about your character you can use to develop their personality. The next table is ideals. The PHB defines ideals as the thing you believe in most strongly. The fundamental moral and ethical principles that compel you to act as you do, from your goals to your core belief system. These are things like Sturm Brightblade's Solemnic Code and Oath, or Emperor Kuzco's entitlement to displace the peasants under his rule in the Emperor's New Groove. The handbook even has them listed as one-word morals or ethics, followed by a description, and they're labeled with what alignment they're associated with: lawful, good, evil, chaotic, and so on. You've got faith, fairness, generosity, respect, power, greed, and a whole lot more. What it boils down to are the beliefs that drive your character to act a certain way, your character's personal code. Perhaps you have the utmost faith in your deity that they will help guide your actions and things will turn out well for you. A little more obscure example of a character with this code is Ab Faria in The Count of Monte Cristo. Perhaps you want power. Power until you have so much that no one else can tell you what to do. Voldemort certainly fits here. Choose this carefully, and remember that you can choose ideals not of your alignment if you put the right spin on it. Besides, no villain thinks they're evil. Bonds, according to the handbook, represent a character's connection to people, places, or events in the world. They might answer the questions of, whom do you care about most? What place do you feel a special connection to? Or what's your most treasured possession? Vex and Vax from Critical Role's Campaign 1 are a great example of one character's connection to another. While you can certainly create a bond with another character at the table, you can also work with your DM to create an NPC you could have a special bond with. One article I read suggested you could have a bond with a group. Very obviously, we can reference Game of Thrones or the Hogwarts houses. These are both examples of very strong bonds, even to the detriment of some of the characters. Perhaps you want your character to have someplace special as their bond. Something like Ariel's underwater cave of treasures in The Little Mermaid. Or Superman's Palace of Solitude. And as far as a character's most treasured possession is concerned, you've got the Wicked Queen from Snow White and her magic mirror on the wall. Or Mother Gothel and the magic flower, which subsequently was infused into Rapunzel's hair. Not creepy at all. And finally, we have flaws. Your character's flaw represents some vice, compulsion, fear, or weakness. Something someone else could exploit to bring you to ruin or cause you to act against your best interests. The PHB says these are more significant than a negative personality trait. Now, I do want you to keep in mind that character flaws are not an excuse to ruin other players' fun, but more of a way to flesh out the character and let the DM use it to their advantage for the story. While I know we all want to play heroes, no hero, no person for that matter, is without flaws. This is just another way we can make our characters more real for ourselves and the others at the table. James Bond, as cool as he is, he can't resist a pretty face, to the impairment of the mission at times. Benny from The Mummy, he's a coward. He runs from everything that scares him, or he gets close to power for protection. Jack Sparrow really likes his rum.
Where's the rum gone?
So now that we know what each table's options mean, if we put all these things together, you have an excellent framework for a character's backstory. With the particular examples that we just talked about, you could create a character who is always positive because you trust your deity will make everything all right by guiding your actions towards the best outcome. Your bond is to the temple where you grew up and the people you grew up with because they're your family and you want to make them proud. However, when things don't go your way, perhaps you make a trip to the local tavern to try their selection of craft ales. All of them. As you're looking over the tables, you can put your backstory and your background together in one of two ways. First, you can choose or create traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws to match a backstory you've already written. This does lend itself to either creating options or even looking in on other backgrounds for ideas more, simply because it may be harder to find something that fits what you've already written. Remember to discuss it with your DM if you're going to do this, and also remember you can go back and add things to your backstory too. The second option is to roll or select your 4 features first, then write your backstory around your choices. This way it's a little easier because it does create that foundation, that framework, which you can write around. Honestly, I've done it both ways. Either way is pretty effective. A few final things of note about backgrounds. As always, make sure you have fun with what you choose and that it's something you're going to be able to roleplay consistently. Backgrounds can be a profession, like soldier or guild artisan, indicate how you've grown up, like acolyte or urchin, or even be an event that happened in your past, which gives us folk hero or criminal. Take advantage of the extra skills, proficiencies, and languages you may gain with your background choice. They might round out your character really well, or give you an odd skill you can work into your backstory with a twist. Sometimes the skills you're given may not fit your character at all, and you can't figure out how to work it in. Talk with your DM about swapping it out if something else makes more sense for you. I've even had a DM give me an extra skill that made sense for my barbarian. He gave me proficiency in history because she's the daughter of an ancient bronze dragon who grew up on his stories of historical events. She doesn't know he's as old as he is, and just doesn't realize his stories are so accurate because he was there. And it's fun from a role-playing aspect because her description of history is always a little different than what everyone else's is because of the loss of integrity over time from the rest of the world. This is just the tip of the iceberg on backgrounds, which are a significant part of character creation for D&D 5e. If you still have questions about backstories, backgrounds, anything else we've covered today and in the last few videos, or about role-playing games in general, you can ask in the comments here or on my Facebook page. Players and DMs, tell me some of the options on those background tables that sound difficult to roleplay. It'll give me a chance to go over the ones that are important to you in my upcoming series. Remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date on all my videos. I'll see you in a couple weeks, and until then, I've got your backstories.